Hi, James. How are
Hi,
you? Hi.
good.
Thank you
I'm
so
good.
much
I'm
for
good.
joining my LinkedIn Live.
Yeah,
Everything,
sure.
everything is good. Yeah, because
Good.
today's topic is talking about coronavirus. Coronavirus. So is everything all right in Singapore or in Malaysia?
I think Singapore is pretty much in control, and I think last yesterday and today just two new
Okay. Okay.
confirmed cases, and the
Yeah.
number
Yeah.
is still you know that the ranking of Singapore falling down. Okay,
Yeah. 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 Hong Kong as
initially,
well. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, and it was ranked number two after China. Okay,
Okay.
and with the widespread in other countries, like for example in Europe, in Italy, and
Mm-hmm.
South Korea and Iran, okay, those it become the top. So the ranking dropped down
Okay.
substantially. It's
Yeah.
probably number five or number six.
Okay.
So
Okay.
pretty well, and
Yeah, I got some numbers. Yeah, right now I think yesterday, the global report is like 19,800 is a confirmed cases, and then like 2,000 is new, and then in China is 80,000, and the second one is Korea, and the third one is Italy, and then there's Iran, and then there's also the cruise, right? The Diamond Princess.
yeah,
So yeah,
exactly.
it's everywhere right now. So by the way, I just want to introduce James. I just forgot,
Yeah,
basically why we are connected because I think like 3 weeks ago, I got a direct message from James, and then at that time he said, "Hey, I want to organize something with you, collaborate, and then have a webinar or something." And then I was like, hey, why? And who is James, right? I didn't know him. So he said a lot of good things, and then at the time I think you only had like 5,000 connections,
yeah,
but now
exactly.
you jump to like 8,000 connections as
Yes,
well.
yes,
And okay, I say, hey, let's work together. And then I think last time we have the webinar called "What are the creative ways to change jobs without applying in 2020?" is really
exactly.
good, amazing. We got like more than 100 people registered, and that's really good. So that's why I invited James back and wants to discuss about this because James is really have some legal and finance background, so that we can talk about this in this matter. So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave down the comments and just tell me, where are you connecting from on and your time zone as well. Yeah. So
So maybe
anything you want to add about
yeah.
yourself?
Yeah, sure, no problem. So it is my honor that Keith invited me as a guest to speak tonight to share with LinkedIn community, and which is a very hot topic that recently you can see the news spread everywhere, whether online or offline. It's about coronavirus, or used to be called Wuhan virus, but because the name Wuhan virus, it carry a negative connotation. So the reason they renamed it to COVID-19, okay, which is a coronavirus.
Yeah, more generic
Those
name and don't
more
mention about
generic.
the country.
Yeah, they try to eliminate those negative connotation, which is a very good effort, and that is something that we want to talk about it. And what we want to share with a professional in LinkedIn community is we want to talk about how this coronavirus or COVID-19 affect you, and also to the
Yeah,
business,
yeah,
to the company. So whether it's B2B or employer to employee, this all affected. And also most importantly is about the communication. So we used to have a face-to-face communication,
yeah,
but
yeah.
after the coronavirus, and we changed the way we communicate. We use a lot of people
Zoom.
using
Yeah,
Zoom, any other kind of digital communication.
yeah,
And there is also another platform is GoToMeeting. They have also an extension which is more premium version called GoToWebinar. So all this change the life, whether it's your personal life or the corporate life. So
yeah,
that is
yeah,
the topic we want to talk about it, and also we want to touch on the financial implication to the business, and also some of the legal point, especially on the
yeah, yeah.
privacy law, data protection, and also a contractual law. So this is something of the very important topic we will touch on later on. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because my wife is working from room, my bedroom, because she's a teacher, and basically what she need to do is to create a lot of e-learning contents, and then she's just doing voice recording and then prepare a lot of PowerPoint. So I think the knowledge business is also increasing, because I think these infect every business. So, for example, even the government, I mean, in Hong Kong, the government officials donate their salary to charity, and there's a lot of changes in a lot of business. And
Exactly.
yeah. I
Even
also heard that.
Singapore, yeah,
Yeah,
Singapore, same thing. The president and a member of parliament, a minister also, they cut the pay for 1 month because of this coronavirus. So there's seems a lot of effort try to rescue the economy, because I think not just Singapore but everywhere, um, your country is being affected because of this travel ban, and also the trade between the country were so much affected.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the point. Yeah. So I
Yeah. So
think,
how?
yeah,
So is there anything for the company to support you? For example, I heard that there's the system very slow, the network very slow because a lot of people using instant messaging, and I don't know whether the IT they need to provide you a computer or they need to provide you a face mask or anything. Company is liable for doing this because if you work from home.
yeah, I think, yeah, it's true, because most professional in Singapore that they are working in a multinational companies, most of them they are given a laptop, so there
Yeah.
shouldn't be any problem. And also, it is very common for multinational companies that employee they have a conference call with the European or US counterparts, so that's not a big issue for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the only problematic is for those employees in healthcare and also the banking industries,
Yeah.
because the
Yeah.
reason is they have this problem, because healthcare workers typically they need to handle the personal data of the patient.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So this is the area that they are affected in
Yeah.
their work,
Yeah.
and they are being asked to work from home. So yeah, this is quite impactful to them. So maybe we'll start about our discussion. We go by different topics. I'll follow the sequence. Keith, you list down, and but first we discuss on two principles. First thing, our discussion we just based on facts. Okay, we don't touch on
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
politics.
Yeah.
That's very important. We are not
Yeah.
politicians, so we are professional. And secondly, we are touching on statistic, but we don't base on rumors or so-called anything which is hardly to validate. So that is our principle of discussion, so that we are not fall into the wrong direction. Okay, so we discuss purely from professional perspective.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe we start, Keith, we start with the first one in our discussion, which is a quick view of the current situation in terms of color code. Is Hong Kong apply color code
Yeah.
alert the public, or just Singapore? Because Singapore we have adopted this so-called DOSCON color code, and DOSCON is basically the acronym stand for Disease Outbreak Response System Condition.
Mm,
So DOSCON system is a framework that alert public about the severity of the situation. Okay, so what happened is DOSCON works something like a traffic light. Okay, the only thing different is there's additional color which is yellow. So it start with green color, and then come to yellow, and then come to orange, and then come to red. Okay, so green color basically it is a situation whereby the disease is mild and not easily spread from a person to person or P to P. Okay, and we come to the next color, which is yellow. Okay, the situation is basically the disease is quite severe, but outside Singapore. Okay, or in the condition that it is in Singapore, but it's being contained. Okay, and the third scenario is the disease is severe and it can easily spread from person to person. Okay, but it is not widely spread yet because it is contained. So, which is the color code of orange, and this is
okay.
the color code. The last one is, of course, the worst case scenario,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is severe and widely spread. So it's something like a haywire in the market, very chaotic. So I'm not sure. Do you think that Hong Kong have similar kind of
Well,
alert?
I don't think there's something like this because we're just very very clear that, for example, if people coming from other places like the Diamond Princess, for example, and then
Yeah,
we'll just
yeah,
quantum them for 14 days, and then
yeah.
right now I also heard that they have 4 flights, which is
Oh,
taking back the people from Wuhan and to
okay,
Hong Kong, and then they do the same time to do the same thing. So just find the isolated places, and
yeah,
then people cannot go out. So
okay.
that's what we do.
Okay, so are they being quarantined for 14 days or even longer? at the moment?
14 days, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a kind of similar approach adopted by Singapore. Also, apply for 14 days.
Yeah,
And
but I also heard the interesting case in Singapore is someone who is coming from some other countries, and then they should be getting a PR, and then they just cannot. They just obey the order, and then they have
yes, yes,
they
yes.
don't get.
There was a case reported in newspaper, and in fact, it
Yeah,
was a case whereby this person is a PR of Singapore, and
yeah,
he was told that because he has a travel history to China, and
yeah, yeah,
Singapore, the latest enforced rules is that if you have a travel history in China, then you'll be asked to stay at home, okay, for 14 days. So he disobeyed this 14 days notice, and he refused to let the officer know where he's about. Okay, so when he tried to depart from Singapore, so in the immigration department, the border, so he
yeah,
was not there. And then they told him that okay, you go, and then we'll ban you, and you cannot re-enter into Singapore, and your PR will be cancelled. So this is the first case, and you can see
yeah,
that Singapore government take this very serious because this kind of contagious disease it can spread to the community, and the impact, the result is quite severe. So that's why this thing will happen. Yeah.
yeah.
So I think maybe we talk about a global view from your perspective. What do you think about the current situation, Keith?
Well, I think for the global, of course, the economic situations is very worse. People just afraid of, I mean, also affect your investment, affect
Yeah.
your savings and the stock market crisis. Not crisis, but I mean ups and downs. But what? And even though you're working for somebody, working for a company, then you're also afraid that okay, this company they drop in business or anything. So what? I think people are quite helpless in this, and of course, when you're working from home, there are also some mental health issues, right? It's always staying at home, and then some companies even though have, hey, you need to switch on your camera all day, and then I need to watching you, or you need to write down your schedule. Where are you going to do in this 1 hour, 2 hours, and what do today? Because we have a case, funny cases. People just find their colleagues to go to hiking, and
Yes,
then
yes, yes. There
they
was a
post in
banker,
the
right?
Instagram, yeah, and then,
Yes, yes.
there's some strict measures on this, yes,
Yeah, I think these are the young chap that they're quite
yeah,
enjoy the life, and they think that okay, this is something they ask me not to go to office. If I remember correctly, these are the banker. They're quite happy
yeah,
and go to hiking the mountain. Yeah, so that's something quite interesting.
yeah,
But of course, it's not the right thing to do because you
yeah,
have obligation, for the
yeah.
public interest.
And I
Yeah.
think for HR perspective or hiring, so if you don't have anyone, leave the company, then that means you don't need any replacements. And then, the
Exactly.
company also very conservative on budgets and the planning. So maybe it just wants to fix these current
Yes.
issues
Yes.
first, and then they don't have a very long-term plan. So they don't have
Yeah.
any additional headcounts. So the hiring process is very slow. And
Yeah.
also we need to meet people in, the Skype or Zoom. So
Yeah.
we haven't really touch, personal touch or handshaking. So I don't really know whether you're keen for this role. And then the process
Yeah.
is very, very long. Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite true because a lot of the banking, or not just banking, for any company, when they do a hiring, a typical process, okay, before they ask the person to sign the employment letter, okay, they need to see you in person. So this is a protocol, okay, you like it or not, they can't just interview you and then ask you to sign over the email. No, they want to see you in person. So
Yeah.
this is, eventually, okay, if they can conduct interview via video conference system, but when come to the actual day they offer you, you still need to go down to office. And it is quite unusual if you tell the candidate and the hiring manager, don't shake hand, okay. Well, of course, shake hand is a normal courtesy, but today is hard. Okay, I do not know how do they express themselves, or after the end of the signing of the employment letter. So that's something interesting that to
Yeah.
see. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think from the global perspective, we have I've seen the latest data up to yesterday, which is 3rd of March. Um, According to the WHO website, okay, and surprisingly, they posted the update on a PDF file every day, almost every day, because this is something they took it very seriously. From what I see is now the number crossing 90,000 on global basis, and close to 80,000, okay, is coming from China. Okay, I think about 79,000 plus, and 10,000 is coming from the rest of the country, whereby South Korea top as the second, which is around 4,800, and come to the next is Italy, which is about 2,000 plus, and the next one is about 1,500 from Iran. Okay, so we can see that the number keep on climbing up. Okay, in this region in Europe. Okay, and surprisingly, I noticed that the US number is just below 100. So I'm not sure what's going on, whether the data is transparent. We have no idea, no clue. So this is something that we have yet to watch, see what is the next thing happen. And there was a news, I just got it recently, that Alibaba Group from China, they have this AI system, artificial intelligence, capable to analyze the city image within 20 seconds. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
and they can scan, they can read this city image within 20 seconds, and with the accuracy of 96%. So that is something very helpful to the current situation. Yeah, so that's why I think that current update from what I see is quite severe, but there are progress also. And I heard that China number is getting more stable, right? Keith, do you know about it? Or
Yeah, I think so. Otherwise, they will not release the Wuhan cities and let the people go out. Yeah, so that's is much better.
yeah, that's good to hear that. So maybe we look at a second point from our perspective about the government response. Uh, so what I can do is I will share on Singapore perspective. At the outbreak of this coronavirus, Singapore government response is basically a very positive. So they declare 4 billion package, which is meant for job support and also a wage credit. And on in this package is basically there's a waiver of license fee for hotel industry, and also for those hotel they have a confirmed case. Okay, they will entitled to enjoy 50% the cleaning fee, because if you are a hotel, you have confirmed case, definitely you need to do something. Okay,
Yeah.
to and but there's a case, if you have confirmed case, the cap is only 20,000. Okay, but if you have a suspected case, you also enjoy 50%. Okay, on the fee that you third party, and the cap is 10,000. So this is one of the effort. Okay, many of the effort that Singapore government tried to help the private and business sector, and also in aviation sector, which is a airline, and there's a rebate of parking fee and also the landing fee.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
on top of that, there's also a rebate on a shop rental. Okay, because you see a Changi airport, there's a lot of shop. Okay, so if they don't cut down the rental, a lot of business can't survive. And you see the number of visitors drop significantly, I would say. And also, very good thing is there is a 77 million package, okay, which is try to help the taxi driver or a private hire, because some of the taxi driver, they are suffering very bad day because they still have to pay for the taxi rental fee, and they can't fetch any passenger. Okay, so what government did is they paid $20 daily to those taxi driver, and including also a private hire driver. Okay, so these are some of the effort by Singapore government. And the
Okay.
risk one, yeah, there's one more recent one is a budget 2020, and Singapore government also announced 1.6 billion, which is a care and support package, and this including a one-time cash payment around 100 to 300 depending on your income. Okay, no question, straight away go to your
Yeah, 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 yeah. Good, good,
something
good,
very
good.
good, and I was very am I here?
Everyone enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yes,
So in
yes,
Hong Kong,
and,
it's the same
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
same thing,
In
right?
Hong Kong, we got everyone got 10,000 Hong Kong dollars. So no question asked. And then for the, I mean for business side, so they would give some monies to retail, to restaurants, so hotel. Yes, same thing. So that keep on doing the business, and because if you have business, then you have employment. So that's
Yeah,
why this is the government's doing. Yeah.
that's right, that's right. And what I heard in the neighbor country of Singapore, which is Malaysia, the former Prime Minister Mahathir also announced ringgit 20 billion as a package.
Okay.
But the recent change of a Prime Minister, okay, just happened a couple of days ago, and I'm not sure whether this will continue or there's a change of the package. Nobody know because the new Prime Minister is a new person, so we do not know what is the next step. And there was also some political divide among the party member. So there's a lot of uncertainty. So coronavirus definitely one of the big issue, but in Malaysia, I think political divide is one of the more concern. And so far, what I see, the number of cases reported in Malaysia is still, I think, probably less than 100.
Very low, very low. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So it's still not their major concern. They are more concerned on
yeah,
the particular. Yeah.
yeah.
So
And I
yeah,
think the funny part is, in Hong Kong, everyone is fighting for the face mask, fighting for the,
yeah,
even
yeah,
toilet paper,
yes,
anything.
yes. That was the other day, Keith, I heard that there was a robbery case happen
Yeah.
and they used a knife to rob a supermarket for toilet paper.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
is it a real case? Is it a real case or is it kind of a joke?
Is a real case, and I just read the news. It's even like this happening in Australia or something. Yeah, people are only limited to buy certain numbers of toilet paper.
Yeah, but it's very surprising. Not only to me, to many of my friends, they also surprised. Say, what's going on in Hong Kong? The those people go and rob supermarket and just for toilet paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
very surprising to many. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
So
interesting. So I think every business is really affected by this kind of virus. Do you think of any kind of industry that didn't affect, or even they can grow, go upward? I can think of maybe insurance, right? Still have
yeah,
people
yeah.
need that, or any other thing you think of?
Yes. I think what I can see right now, okay, one of the particular business is having a very search in a business, okay, which is a video conference system, and that is called Zoom.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
because what I know is the share price shoot up significantly from
Yeah.
January go to March. Okay, and there was also another news. What I heard and what I see from online is basically there is another company carry almost the same name as Zoom. Okay, it was a Beijing-based company called Zoom Technologies Incorporation, and because of this Zoom investor bet wrongly. Okay, so they thought this is a Zoom that video conference system, so they buy a lot of their share. So the share price shoot up suddenly, okay, for no reason, and until they wake up and then they start to realize that it's not this Zoom, it's another Zoom. So they start to dump money to another Zoom, a real Zoom. So this is a funny part on the share market. Yeah, and
Okay.
I
Okay.
think Zoom the share price go up significantly. Okay, let me give a real data from what I see. Okay, just hang on, let me see. Okay, I think the share price going up. Okay, for Zoom video communication, okay, the share ticker is ZM. Okay, the original share price in January is about $70 USD. Okay, and up to recent one, which is March around this timing, the share price shoot up to 117. So you can see the
Wow.
70 go up to almost 120. It's almost like double. Okay, whereas on the other company, which is wrongly mistaken as a Zoom video, it was a company called Zoom Technologies Incorporation, and this company is a Beijing based. It's a mobile phone component maker, and the ticker is ZOOM. So a lot of investors thought this is okay, and the share price also surprisingly, it started originally it was around $1 USD in a period of January. Okay, up to today, which is around March, the share price is $5. One to
Wow.
five,
Wow.
fivefold. Wow, that surprised me. Whether the investor is blind or whether they see it wrong, nobody knows.
I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't know because in Hong Kong, something for Zoom is Li Ka-shing has some investment on that. So
yeah,
people will follow that. But I don't know why
yes,
people just follow the name and then they
yeah,
buy. Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, next we want to talk about the response of a government in Hong Kong. I heard
Yeah.
that Carrie Lam also announced that a pay cut or donation of the minister. Is this a pay?
They donate the salary to a charity called Hong Kong Community Trust or something. Yeah.
Yeah, because I read the news that Regina Yip comment that why you guys follow the Singapore style, because Singapore also announced, and from the sequence of the event, okay, from what I see is after around 1 hour time later, and Hong Kong announced kind of similar approach. Okay, cut 1 month. Okay, exactly 1 month. So it was commentator like Regina Yip. Okay, one of the prominent member of parliament also make this comment. Why you copy Singapore? But this is the effort.
No idea.
Yeah. This is, but anyway, what I see is a good effort, to
Yeah.
help the market. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is something very good effort. And so in terms of quarantine order, is Hong Kong having a more stringent? Is it applied to 14 days or longer period of time?
I think people crossing the borders will still
Yeah.
need that 14 days. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 14 days. Okay. In Singapore case, we have originally it was started with a leave of absence. That's one of the quarantine order and less stringent. What is required under leave of absence is that the person you are required to stay at home, okay, but you are allowed to go out and buy food at certain occasion, okay, because lunch you need to buy and dinner you need to buy. But after 18th of February, okay, this changed because the situation getting more severe. So what was imposed is a so-called stay-home notice, or in short, we call it SHN. Okay, and this SHN stay-home notice is more stringent than leave of absence. And this stay-home notice is basically if you are being ordered to stay home, you cannot go out. Okay, you are not supposed to go. Even buy food, you need to get someone to buy food for you.
Yeah.
And anyone come to your home and visit you, you have to write down the name and inform the authority. So this is something very strict. You can see the government take this issue very serious. Yeah. So what I can see also recently, and is because of this coronavirus, it triggered also a very heated debate in Singapore Parliament. Okay. One of the member of parliament, which is from Yishun constituency, Mr. Louis Ng. So he also raised a question because a lot of foreign workers was affected. So he raised a question when the foreign worker enter into Singapore because at the request of employer, okay, why they are being penalized, okay, because when they are enter Singapore without the approval of the Ministry of Manpower, they will be banned to enter Singapore in future. They won't be able to get a work pass or work permit in the future. So the question raised by MP Louis Ng is that why such thing happen? It should be the responsibility of employer to make a declaration or to apply for approval. So at the same time, also the Minister of Manpower, which is Mr. Zaki, and okay, by the way, Mr. Zaki also in my LinkedIn first connection. Okay, so what he mentioned, he responded. He did respond. So he responded is that okay, employer is accountable to it, and every case is different. Okay, so what happened is that there are 15 employees being investigated for this, but three of them, okay, the employees or the workers were found not culpable in a way that they are not liable, so they are still allowed to find other job in Singapore. So that is a very good statement because Mr. Zaki in my LinkedIn first connection, he mentioned a very good statement. He mentioned one thing is that Singapore government take this matter very seriously. Okay, and there was also another comment made by a member of parliament, Mr. Patrick Tay, and it was also in my LinkedIn first connection. Okay, yeah.
Well, you got a very good.
Yeah, he mentioned something very motivational to many so-called companies. He said that okay, for companies or for employers, you should find a way to cut costs instead of cut job.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because if you try to find a way to cut job in order to save cost is wrong. So you should find a way to cut cost and save job. So that should be the right approach adopted by the employer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I
So
also heard from one of the companies that I worked before, and then the people still working there, and they said, "Hey, now we are using Zoom, right?" And then
yes, yes,
they said the efficiency is even more than previously. And then the management is thinking about, "Hey, should I still keep on doing these?" And then you can cut costs, you can have a save more company space. You don't need to air conditioner anything, right? So
yeah, yeah.
so that's also will impact our work because later on, then we still cannot we meet our team is only virtual team, and then we can all stay at home to work. So that might be the future as well. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I think to download the video conference system, this is one of the option for many private sector or business. And what I heard is even governmental sector, like for example the healthcare, the hospital, those friends that they work in a healthcare industry, they told me that a lot of them they download Zoom and they use Zoom as a video conference system to communicate with each other. And something is very good. Okay, in addition to Zoom, there's also another platform called GoToMeeting. So it's almost the same function. Okay. So for company, if you want to use this kind of video conference system, it's better to compare the price from financial perspective, because
Yeah.
okay, well, I do a very simple analysis and comparison. Is basically for Zoom. Okay, if you sign up as a user, you have to pay 14.99 monthly. Okay, but the payment of fee is always they ask you to pay for 1 year. And for GoToMeeting, the fee is cheaper, $12. Okay. So another comparison I make is basically for Zoom, you can invite up to 100 pack. Whereas for GoToMeeting, the number of people you can join is 150. So you can see price cheaper, okay, and then number more. But okay, in this way, we think that GoToMeeting is better, right? But watch
Yeah.
out. Okay, GoToMeeting only allow you 14 days trial period. 14 days. After that, no more.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Then for Zoom, is free. Free. Okay, you want to use how long is up to you. But there's one limitation. For Zoom, if you download and use it, okay, for one-to-one meeting, there's no limit. Okay, if you have 3 person and more, okay, your meeting or your webinar will be terminated after 40 minutes, and then you have
Yeah,
to.
that's not enough sometimes.
Yes. So for business, you
Yeah,
probably you need to use a paid version of the Zoom. Yeah.
yeah. I think a
So
lot of companies I work for before, they use a more expensive options is using WebEx. WebEx is by Cisco. I think it's more expensive as well.
that's very expensive. I
Yeah.
don't see any sensible reason that they use those expensive version, because you know, Keith, last 2 weeks we hosted the webinar, and the line is stable, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the quality is good, and we can make a video recording. And don't forget, we have participant log in from London, right? Also, we have participant log in from I think from China. So I think Zoom is pretty much stable
Everywhere.
quality. Yeah, yeah, no problem at all. And today I just do a simple Google search to try to find out. Okay, who is a Zoom founder? Okay, surprisingly, it's one of the a gentleman from China, and he's I think worked in Silicon Valley, and he founded this company, and it's very good too. Yeah, very impressive. And we don't have any problem so far. And I hosted
Yeah.
after the webinar I hosted with you. I also hosted with other speaker, and response is good. Everybody use it. They found it that very intuitive, user friendly. Some of them they even log in via iPhone. Okay, one of the lady joined our webinar yesterday. Okay, she is using iPhone and she is jogging at the same time. So you can imagine that this Zoom is fantastic. There's no
Yeah.
cutoff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
stable.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So
you mentioned previously. You mentioned about when people working from home, for example, the healthcare sectors or the banking sectors. So they
yeah.
might have some sensitive or confidential informations. So how can they prevent, or how can the company, talking about the data privacy and all those things like that, the
Exactly,
issue?
exactly. I think because for those working in the healthcare industry, okay, one of the law that apply to them, okay, mainly apply to them is a privacy law. In Singapore, the privacy law predominantly is called PDPA, Personal Data Protection Act. Okay, and this act, okay, basically what it requires is that if you want to obtain somebody's personal data, you need to obtain the consent. And for the healthcare industry, okay, they hold a lot of patient data, for example, the phone number, the NRIC, and the name and the address. So when they need to work from home, so these are the things that make them a stumbling block for them to communicate with their office. So a lot of them they facing this problem. So but they still obey the rules. So what they do is what I heard, okay, from what I heard, some hospital what they impose on the employees is 2 weeks. This batch of employee work from home. Okay, if anything you need to get information about personal data, you need to get someone in office to pass to you. Okay, so that's the kind of protection they still impose the measure for the compliance of PDPA. And for banking industry, apparently, if you are someone, you need to operate by using a client data. So apparently, you cannot work from home. So I don't think there's any choice for them. They can use video conference to communicate, to talk, but to lock in the banking system, I think this is going to be a big challenge to the banking industry.
But they should have something like VPN, right? Virtual private network, so they can access.
I'm not sure how it works, but I don't think the bank will allow them because the bank also have their compliance team. I used to work in a credit card company called Diners Club, and what happened is all the employees, almost all, okay, they are prevented, to log in from home. And in addition to that, okay, they have this USB port. So if they plug in any drive in a USB port, they can't.
They can't download it.
They can't do anything. They are even blocked from log into Google. So practically, they go to office, just do the work. That's it. Okay, because company client information is so important. So there's a lot of measures imposed by the bank. So there are some industry affected, definitely. I'm sure.
Yeah, but do you think that this is kind of flexibilities for you, because if you can work from home, or maybe I don't know, every week, then you can work from home. It's more flexible, because now the companies is talking about employer branding. They want to attract the best people. So if I can only back to work at the office, and 9 to 6, and quite boring sometimes. So what do you think about this? It's not good to attract good people, right?
Yeah, I think in terms of employer branding, this is very attractive. Okay, a long time ago we talked about work from home, and people keep on talking, but then only certain privileged higher level management they are allowed to work from home. But then for the middle range or even lower range employee, practically this is something just a fancy words to them. Okay, they have no choice. They have to come office every day. But today's situation is quite different. As long as your employee not at the front line, or you're not touching anything to do with personal data, and I think this is a kind of a flexible approach that the employer should adopt, so that you have this kind of flexibility. And another reason what I think is practical is if you try to make a shift. Let's say if you are operate in a big multinational company, your one department maybe 50, so you should operate a shift whereby a batch of employee work from home, and then another batch of employee next 2 weeks time they work from home. So this is effectively you can mitigate the risk of infection. If any one batch infected, only this batch, the other batch still functioning well in the company, and company can still continue the business as usual. So that's what I thought, and most companies also do it. Yeah. And what do you think about the travel ban? Do you think a lot of Hong Kong company they start the travel recently?
They are very cautious. They will not recommend you to travel anywhere. And then if you
Okay,
need to
okay.
travel, then you need to mention about which country. And
That's
when you travel, for example, back from Italy, or
yeah.
I don't know, Japan or South Korea, then please don't go back to
Okay.
office, right? And then you should be at your home for 14 days. So that's
Yeah.
something that they're very concerned about. For example, even if you go back to office, then you only stay at your floor, right? Don't go
Yeah.
to other floor. Don't go to other other place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we talk about so-called impact of the employer.
Yeah.
Okay, impact to employer, and in particular, you know that a lot of employer um, they have this obligation. Okay, for every employer, I would say under common law, they should
Yeah.
ensure that to provide employee with a safety and health environment to work.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so in that situation, there was also some intertwine between the personal law, privacy law, and also the employer obligation. Because on one hand, we are talking about the employee personal information should be protected. But on the other hand, the employer also have the obligation to ensure the safety and the health of the employee. So let me take one example, one of the scenario. Okay, let's say if your employer, okay, asks you to declare your family health status or medical report, recent medical report, and also a travel history. So is this something possible in Hong Kong? Is this something infringing privacy in Hong Kong? What do you think?
Well, I don't think that the employee will answer that question, because I think maybe their own choice. But so that's, I think you need legal advice for this. I don't have any
Yeah,
idea.
yeah, I think it's quite true because what happened is in Singapore, for a lot of employer, they have this kind of struggling. Okay, because on one hand, okay, if they need to ask you to declare because they have this obligation to protect other employees being infected of the disease. So to do that as a thorough approach, they should ask you as an employee to declare not only you, because if your family member infected, you
Yeah,
will have high risk infected, and when you come to office, you'll
no
spread.
investor knowledge. Yeah.
So I think they have the right under this so-called safety health regime. But on the other hand, also in a personal data protection law in Singapore, for instance, okay, in a Schedule 2 of the PDPA Act, it also mentioned that in a situation whereby it threatened to the public interest, for example, it threatened to the life, the health, and the safety, okay, then the consent of the person is not required. I can straight away ask you for information. Okay, let's say you are employee, you refuse to give. Okay, I can ask your neighbor, and I don't have to ask your, let's say, your family member consent.
Oh, I see.
So there is a list of exception under the law, under the current privacy law in Singapore, that allow authority or so-called organization to get your personal data, which including your medical report or your travel history. So this is a. But one thing I want to say is the PDPA or the privacy law in Singapore is not operate in vacuum in a way that it has to operate, at the current situation, within the current situation, which is a so-called coronavirus timing. Okay, so we
Okay.
don't look at the law in isolation. We have to look at the law in many perspectives. Yeah, so
Okay.
that's
I see.
current analysis. And
So,
yeah,
so what do you think if the companies ask you for leave, or maybe you want to take some, sick leave or whatever, because you don't know, or maybe even you suffered from that virus. So, how about the employee rights or the benefits or anything,
yeah, yeah. I think that's a very good point. What basically happened is that okay, in Singapore, the Singapore government, I would say that is very supportive. One of the primary reason is Singapore government also same as Hong Kong government, they had the experience in past 10 years ago to handle SARS. Okay, so with that kind of experience, they are very capable to handle the current situation. So in the case whereby the employees affected, so the government will give $100 on daily basis to
Oh
the
wow.
affected employer. Okay, so that you are still paying the normal salary, but the employer will get $100 per day. So that is a kind of support, and on top of that is basically there was also another situation whereby employer abused the system. Okay, because if none of their employees being affected, okay, or they have no travel history to Wuhan, they never have travel history to Iran. Okay, but this company, the employer, maybe try to think of the opportunity to cut costs. So what he did is ask the employee, okay, you guys go home for 14 days, okay, because current situation, I don't want you to suffer any kind of
Yeah.
protection. And this is something not very positive and not welcome by the Manpower Ministry, because it mentioned also in newspaper that any employer, try to abuse this kind of system, and you force your employee to take leave, okay, whether it's a paid leave or use your annual leave or unpaid leave, okay, is not going to work because you will be penalized if someone report. Okay, of course you ask employee to go home and work with the paid salary, that is not the issue. Okay, so government is very supportive. They also want the employer to be responsible, not to abuse the current situation as opportunity to cut costs. Because I know there are a lot of employers, especially the small and medium size, they try to take this opportunity and try to
Yeah.
you ask employee work from no pay leave, okay, 14 days is
Yeah.
half a month already, So that's
because they don't have they have no choice. Sometimes, for example, it's a retail business, then the shop is just closed, right? So that's
yeah,
something. I
yeah,
just want to ask you, for example, if the business is really bad and then the company asks you to leave the company, I mean, let go or retrench or something. So
yeah.
what kind of rights the employees can get?
I think retrenchment is fall into another kind of regime because retrenchment is you'll be under either employment act, okay, or under contractual law, okay. Because for executive level, basically, you will sign employment letter with the company, let's say a multinational company, and that will spell out the right obligation of both parties. So basically, in general, employer or employee are entitled to give the other party 3 month notice or 2 month notice. It depends on the draft of the contract. Okay, so it is hard to say that in current situation there's no retrenchment. Retrenchment may happen in good times, in bad times, but you have to see individual case. Okay, let's say someone without any problem, without any performance issue, and without any health issue, and all of a sudden you are being dismissed, there will be a litigation issue. Okay, so the employee affected, if let's say is a very high pay executive, he's entitled to seek for a law firm for advice, and he reserve his right under the contract law or even under the Employment Act. Because the recent change of Singapore Employment Act also protect PMET, and we have this word called PMET, basically stand for professional, manager, executive, and technician. So
Mm.
because the old regime of the Employment Act is so old, they only protect the blue collar worker. And the recent effort by the so-called Labour MP, which is the gentleman in my first LinkedIn connection, Patrick Tay. Okay, he was very actively engaged to fight for the labor rights. So there was a change of law, a significant change that also protect a professional. Okay, so whether you are a very high-paid professional, certain part is protecting you as well. And there was also a newly set up a tribunal, a labor tribunal for a professional to lodge the case. And you don't have to hire a lawyer as long as you have a valid case. You can fight your legal right. Yeah, there was also one of the very surprising good news to professionals is basically in the new Employment Act is it was drafted in such a way to entitle the employee affected to fight for their right if you are in a situation that you are forced to resign. A situation forced to resign is like your employer give you pressure, okay,
Yeah.
exert what kind of pressure so that you have no choice but you are forced to resign. So this is so-called involuntary resign, and that could be a case to argue. Okay, but so far there's no case law yet at the moment. Yeah, but it's a good indication that the change of a statute to cater for the new change of the labor market. Because in the past, all this there's a lot of blue collar worker. Today, predominantly is a knowledge worker, as you can see. I think it similarly happened in Hong Kong. There's a lot of banking expert, banking talent. Those are more knowledge-based kind of workers, right? Yeah,
Yeah. So the companies and the employees is kind of based on respect and trust, and then you work from home and then just
yeah,
contribute whatever you can.
yeah. That's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Let's talk about stress level. Stress level. How's the
yeah.
Hong Kong people? They manage
Yeah,
the time.
I just mentioned about, yeah, for example, the hiking, or of course it's a joke, but I mean, now they always wanted to get your timesheet, or
Okay, okay,
ask you even switch on your camera. Then I know that
okay.
you're working. So that's just something. And another thing is, I think the mental health. I mean, if you stay at home, and for example, I told you about my wife is a
Yeah,
teacher,
yeah,
but our daughter is just 18 months, is always screaming, crying, and then you can't really work, right? So that's why you can't, you will be afraid that you can't perform in your job. So that's
yes.
another stress level. So I don't know how you can handle, or you can recommend people to handle it.
I think there's okay. The one thing is Singapore is still good because the school is still open and there's no stoppage in this kind of education for whether primary school or secondary school. So everything is still business as usual. And I would say that because the current situation is still in a very good control. So basically, kids all go to school, no problem for many parents. if let's say a situation turn bad, okay, maybe kids also have to stay home, then maybe a bit chaotic, like what you mentioned, parents have to manage the kids on one hand and also manage the work on the other hand. So, but at the moment, still very good in Singapore. Yeah, no problem at all. And so maybe the last point we touch on director
Yeah.
or the company director, because one of the point that also mentioned by one of my client in current situation is a coronavirus. So whether they can hold a board meeting under the company law, okay, not in the office, whether because if they are requested to work from home, can they just make a video conference to hold a board meeting? So is this
And
something because
all the critical information is by
exactly,
the web meeting.
exactly. Yes, 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 exactly. So that's the problem. Okay, what I can share is at the moment in Singapore Companies Act, okay, basically it does not regulate the board meeting how it should be conducted. Okay, so in other words, it is up to the company. So how the company conduct the board meeting, basically it is most company is spelled out in the constitution. Okay, in the old days, we call it Memorandum and Articles of Association or
Yeah.
M&A, but today we call
Yeah.
it Constitution. So many companies, they have their own constitution. It will spell out, okay, how the board meeting should be conducted and the quorum of the meeting and the notice of the meeting and also the chairman should be presided in every meeting. So these are all to be left with the company to decide. So in terms of whether the meeting can be conducted remotely, there shouldn't be any problem because usually if your company constitution provide that you can dial in, you can do a kind of even a director circulation. So that is not a big problem. The only problem is if your constitution is silent, not mention so much thing, then you probably need to redraft your constitution. Yeah, so that's a
Yeah.
problem. Yeah,
Okay.
and the other thing I want to mention is other than that, there is a very a specific section under the Companies Act, basically under Section 156. It also mentioned that for every board meeting, the director have to declare their interest, whether in a transaction to be decided in a resolution in a board meeting. So they still obliged to declare their interest. That's one thing. Another thing is under Companies Act, Section 188 also mentioned that for board meeting, the minutes have to be kept within a month. So these are the things that under the requirement of Companies Act for board meeting. Other than that, any kind of manner or so-called dress code, okay, for board meeting, you guys decide. The companies have the right to decide, and they should write it in their constitution. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, thank you so much. You prepare a lot, and obviously this is your expertise because I know that you are you have company SAG, ACCA, and
Yes.
then
Yes. Yes.
legal perspectives and working for compliance. So that is all your specialty.
Yeah. Thank you so much for inviting me as a guest or speaker. So I'm glad
Yeah,
that we share
yeah,
some with our audience in LinkedIn and
yeah.
yeah. So okay. So I think the night a bit late. So probably you need to take care of your daughter,
No,
right?
no, she slept already. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. So
just
how the situation in Hong Kong? Is this the current situation? The protests still continue, or they stop it because of
Oh,
coronavirus?
they stopped for a while, but then I
Okay.
think
Okay.
after the virus, then they may have, they will do it again or not. I'm not sure, but
Okay.
definitely at that time, the retail, the restaurant, and all those things suffer a lot. And then right now,
Yeah.
there's another virus, so
Okay.
the economy is really
Everybody
bad.
stop.
So
Everybody
yeah,
stop. Okay.
yes,
How
yes.
many confirmed cases at the moment in Hong Kong? The number.
Uh,
Oh,
there's only 100. I think it's a little bit
oh,
less than Singapore, but we got
okay.
two death cases.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
They have a travel history to China, right? These
Yes, yes,
two.
I think, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But then they're all able to trace. So
Okay.
whenever
Okay.
you're infected and
Yes. Yes.
surrounding is infected, so we can
Yes.
trace that.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's
Yes.
still okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know Hong Kong system, the tracking is quite the scrutiny system is very good. They can trace you everywhere. The proximity between one person and another is so close. Yeah,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
a difficult thing. Yeah.
I hope you are safe as well in Singapore. Yeah, and
Yes.
so I hope that everyone will get some values. I mean, at least
Yeah.
understand some of the concept, some of the impacts that about the work, about your life, of your business, about your money, about your finance, anything, right? So anything you want to add or sum up or any other additional information that you want us to
Yeah.
talk about?
Can you see the comment? Okay, let me see the comment. There are a lot of comment due to coronavirus from Hitesh. Virus losing jobs in Hong Kong market. Is it a good time for company to build branding? And yeah, so is it a good time to build branding? I don't think so. And
Yes.
globally, and could you say about IT job market in Hong Kong? Okay, IT job. Okay, do you know about IT job in Hong Kong at the
IT is
moment?
always in need. I think IT basically the functions is for helping you to save money, do
Okay.
better, efficiency, and somehow some of the system can also help you to earn money. And technical skills is more important. So that's why I don't think there's an issue for IT. Yeah, but I was really worried about the retail and some other hospitality industry.
Yeah, and also there was another lady mentioned about learn new technology is a must know the emerging trend about IT market. That's very true. And there was some comment that the virus impact shows Hong Kong is creative, quick response, and good leaders. Okay, so the job market landscape changing nowadays. Use of advanced tech platforms such as blockchain to secure data security and privacy. It is not only privacy but discrimination and cross-cultural difference. I don't know what is it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But that's good. Seems a really
Good.
good response and a lot of engagement.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah, people know that you are that kind of expert, so they can also consult
Yeah.
you. And
Sure.
also last time we have very good success about the webinar. So if you guys have any further questions or anything, just comes to James or comes to me, then definitely we can help you. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Right. So we end tonight. Thank you
Yeah.
very
Thank
much.
you so much for your time. Thank you. Thank you, James.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.